Hello, we are live on the Massachusetts Beer Reviews channel of YouTube. And with us, as always, is from Georgia, John Anelli, Michael Cormoran, Beer Reviews owned Ontario, and William Kepley for a very special examination of beers of the South, south of Mason-Dixon line, we are calling it this evening. John Anelli, what beer have you brought this evening?
Okay, John Anelli, are you reading this?
John?
Sweetwater 4.
All right, we're going to... I can't hear you very well, John. You're okay. Michael Cormoran, let's go to you in Brooklyn, New York. Which beer have you brought for Beers of the South?
This is Yazoo Brewing from Nashville, Tennessee. This is their Sioux, which is smoked porter.
Oh, you sent that to me on your phone today, Michael, and I'm sorry, I didn't recognize who sent it to me, and I couldn't get my text to work. That's why you got gibberish response.
Yeah, I was wondering what you were saying. First you said no, and I said, did you try it? And then you said no and the letter I, so I figured you didn't understand what was going on.
I understood, but I couldn't communicate it.
Okay, so now you know that's my telephone that's coming from. So you can put that in there. So anyway, this is not a limited release. This is a regular beer from this company. My wife brought it back on a trip that she made with her friends to Nashville, so I've been cellaring it. At least for 3 years, but maybe.
Whoa.
So we will see how it goes.
Okay. What did Jay Theriot bring to the examination of Beers of the South?
Well, I have a beer from the Deep South, and it's from Bayou Teche Brewing. It's called LA 31, Louisiana Highway 31, because that's where the brewery is located, LA 31. LA 31 Swamp Thing IPA. It's from Honorville, Louisiana.
Excellent.
It's 6.3% alcohol, and it's 60 international bitterness units.
Sounds good.
Yes, and this is a very.
I have. Go ahead.
No, I was saying it's a up and coming company down here, and their tagline is "Laissez-les votre santé." Okay, or votre santé. Okay, go ahead.
Excellent. I have two beers that I brought this evening. The first one, when I saw it at the store, I'm like, yeah, why not bring it as another beer? I had never had this one called Shiner Light Blonde. 99 calories. This is some amount of alcohol by volume, not very much. I cannot find that right now. But anyways, light ale, light.
I think it's 3.9. I believe
that sounds about right.
That's from the old South.
And the other beer that I'm going to be that I really want to showcase. The other beer that I really want to showcase is one from a company I've not heard of until a few weeks ago, seeing it at the store. It's from the Due South Brewing Company. It is their Citrified Citra Pale Ale at 5.1% alcohol by volume from Boynton Beach, Florida. There you go.
Boynton Beach, Florida.
But here's the Shiner Light. Very pale, straw-colored, see-through, just like what you would expect for a light-style lager.
Yeah.
And it smells just how you would expect it to smell.
Called Shiner Blonde.
Yes, they say right on the bottle, Shiner Light Blonde, if you can see that. There you go. How about your beer, William Kepley? What are you seeing right now with your beer?
Like you, I brought two beers also. I thought being baseball season, it was nice to have a relief pitcher, so I got one in the bullpen and one at home plate. The first beer I have is one that I did post on Facebook a couple of nights ago. It's lemon balm and beet honey wheat.
I saw that.
There's the logo on the side of the can.
What's the brewer? Is it the brewer?
New Sarum Brewery in Salisbury, North Carolina. Salisbury is a town located about 45 miles north of Charlotte on Interstate 85.
Okay. There goes Jay. He'll be back.
This is 6.5% ABV and 34 IBUs.
So the name is Lemon Balm and Beet.
Lemon balm and beet hoppy wheat. Say that 10 times.
Sorry.
And my relief pitcher is baseball themed. It's Going Yard Golden Ale, the official beer of the Greensboro Grasshoppers minor league baseball team.
Cool.
From Natty Green Brewery in Greensboro, North Carolina. The brewery is located very close to the Greensboro Coliseum in town. And, this is a 3.8%, very sessionable golden ale, 9 IBU. You could drink a ton of these at a ball game and still remember when you went home what the game was about, probably. So
it was about football, right?
A sessionable baseball beer.
I drank a 24-ounce can of Four Loko Gold, and I did not remember much of the Super Bowl. I'm afraid to say.
That's more of a brushback pitch. Maybe one that hit you in the head, maybe.
Yes.
Woo. Oh, excellent. The Yankees used to have a relief pitcher, Ryan Dewar, wore these Coke bottle-like glasses. They said he couldn't see, and he had about a 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
Wow.
Those guys didn't want to dig in the batter's box. And that's sort of like what you get when you're digging in with a Four Loko or an earthquake high gravity. You're a little bit tepid about digging in that batter's box, too.
That was a nightmare that I will not ever relive on purpose.
I did not mention the Yazoo Sioux is 9% ABV and 93 IBUs.
Wow. Have you yet poured that in a glass?
Yes, I have.
What are we getting since we're on?
We're getting extreme dark brown that you can't see through, and a tan head.
What does that thing smell like?
It smells like smoke.
Woo! All right. Interesting. Sounds very good. How about Jay Terrio? What are you getting in appearance and aromas?
Well, as you can see, the head is very thick and frothy.
Very white.
Every time I pour this beer, it has this extremely mad, crazy head. It's like a mousse, a chocolate mousse. And then the appearance, you can see, is sort of hazy. You can't see through it. It's bubbly. It almost looks like a tripel, but it smells like, and there's a lot of sediment at the bottom of the bottle. So once I swish and pour, it's going to get really cloudy. But the smell is sweet, tropical fruit, very, what do you call that smell? It's like tangy, or I can't think of the name.
Pungent?
Yeah.
You're not talking about dank, are you?
No, because it's bright. You know, when I think of dank, I think of like a downbeat. This is like
not like tart, maybe.
Well, resinous.
Yeah, that's dank was closer to that. Yeah, I got you. Cool.
But it's a bright aroma, but it's for the hophead people out there.
All right. Cool. And let's hear all about John Anele's beer and his aroma and the appearance of his beer.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
You seem good right now.
All right. Let me know if something happens. I got the Sweetwater 420.
Woo. Sweet.
And it looks, it's pretty cloudy.
Orange.
A lot of sediment.
Dogfish glass.
Yep. I also have a relief pitcher, like William. I got the Good People Pale Ale as a backup.
Ooh.
I couldn't decide which one to do, so I just brought them both, and I don't know. So I poured the sweet water. It brewed in Atlanta, Georgia, 5.7% alcohol. It's dry hopped with what's the hops that they use?
Yeah.
Oh crap! I thought it said it right here, but I don't see it. It's bottle conditioned. Well, anyway, smells really good. Really get some citrusy notes. It's got that resinous thing kind of that you were talking about, Ron, with yours. Smells like a really good pale ale.
And I am pouring pouring it all over me. I'm pouring the showcase beer for my review tonight, the Due South Citrified Single Pale Ale, 5.1% alcohol by volume. And this is, I would call this a shade definitely lighter than Michael or John Anelle's beer for sure. Big white head. In this Sam Adams glass, tons of active carbonation. And the smell on it is Citra hop forward big time. Big pineapple and lots of grapefruit. Actually very floral too. Very, very floral. It smells very bitter. It has white bready notes to it. Maybe a little bit of the caramel toffee malt. And some like toasty, crackery notes to it, but it is very pungent, sweet, hoppy, resinous, bitter. And if you just are blindfolded or somebody handed this to you just with the nose alone, and you didn't know it wasn't considered a quote IPA or it's just a pale ale, you would not know in the nose that it wasn't even a double IPA. It smells that hoppy.
Whoa.
So it's a good one to dig into if you are a hop head. Now the website says that it's featuring one of the most popular hops in the world. Citrified is a smooth, crushable pale ale. Upon opening the can, expect to hashtag get citrified with a whirlwind of hop flavors and aromas. And it won a 2017 bronze medal in the Can Awards for American Style Pale Ale. There you go.
Yeah.
So without further ado, cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, that didn't sound very enthusiastic. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers,
There
everybody.
Happy Wednesday, I guess.
Cheers, everybody.
Webcast Wednesdays. Come on. All right. Let's start with John Anele before things go south. How's that 420 going?
It's really good. It's bready. It's hoppy. By the way, I found it's dry hopped with Cascade hops.
Nice.
So that's the hop variety. It's pretty light bodied. It's got a nice bitter punch at the end. It's very smooth. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's got there's a little citrus in there as well. It's pretty well balanced. 5.7%, so it's a little bit on the lighter side. Pretty sessionable. So far, so good.
Excellent. Michael Komarov has a very big, bold, smoky beer. Tell us all about it.
Well, the best thing about this is it's not like, and I'm using as a comparison, I don't know how much experience everybody has with like a German Rausch beer, which is their smoky beers. It's not as intense as that kind of smoke, but the smoke is there. You can taste it. So it is smoky, but it's not in your face smoke. I was saying, Jay, that in the German Rausch beers, you can really be blown away by the smoke. It's so intense.
Oh, yeah, like the Oxlenkeller Rauchbiers.
Right.
Yeah.
This is not like that. I guess the combination of the fact that this is a porter and the way they've integrated it with the malts and the whatever hops they're using in this tones down the smokiness, but the smokiness is there. That's the lead taste. Getting chocolate, coffee as well. Some roasted malts in there, some dark fruit. So it's having a lot of stout kind of qualities to it as well. The carbonation is very, I guess what I call the carbonation is kind of like a little bit prickly, the carbonation, which is, I don't know if that would be normal for a porter or not, but it has a little bit of like a prickly carbonation.
Mm.
Very smooth though too, like John's beer was, in a different way because it's a bigger beer, but well balanced, very smooth. I like it.
And how much does a bomber of that run you where you bought it?
My wife brought it back from Tennessee and does not remember. So I don't know how much it
Comes
was.
direct from Tennessee. That is correct. All right.
So I don't know how much it
Well,
was.
Cool beer for the examination. Excellent. William Keploy, you're drinking beet juice. Explain.
Reddish with a light pink head. And it is beet. I think it should be renamed beet and lemon balm because beet is the dominant flavor in this. And if you like beet, this will be right up your alley. Beets are rather popular in Southern cuisine as a side dish, pickled beets,
Yes.
like on plate meals. And if you tasted beets, this is a genuine beet. The flavor is just like beets. They use a ton of beets in this. And I think the choice of a wheat ale was very smart on their part because I don't think a malty beer would mesh very good with beets. So the use of a light wheat ale adds some smoothness to it, a little spiciness. Then you add in the lemon aspect, and it's a pretty interesting beer actually. It's one that you can drink it crisp on a sunny day. It's refreshing, and also as it warms a little bit, it actually develops a little bit more flavor. So you can lay back and sip it and contemplate on it a little bit. So it serves over a dual purpose. It's just the fact that this is not one of my favorite styles, the wheat ales to begin with. And beets would be an acquired taste, but I did get 2 cans because my rule of thumb now is if I get a single, I'll get a second one because I'll always give it a second chance. And it's interesting, and I guess that's all part of the craft beer journey is to try different beers.
Yes.
They're going to be hits, they're going to be misses, but it's all a part of the journey. And this is one I'm glad I tried, and it's always to push the envelope. Craft beer drinkers don't tend to be as loyal to a certain brand, so I can see where they're coming from. So it's fun to try different stuff, and I'm enjoying it right now. It's refreshing, it's clean, it's crisp, and so
It's kind of an oddball thing like that Clamato Chelada.
I think so. And this beer did win a gold medal at the 2017 Great American Beer Festival.
Oh,
In
cool.
the urban spice category. And actually, it was sort of a one-off thing because they brewed this essentially for a non-profit event. And then said, well, let's just take it to the beer festival they did last fall. And as it turned out to be, it won the gold medal. So, and I think this brewery, New Sarm, does some very good stuff. Their core beers are excellent. I've been to the brewery many times. From the tap room, you can actually, there's glass. You can look into the brewery itself and see their cereal cooker where they use grits in their blonde ale. And nice guys all around. And so scoring a gold medal like that was a big coup for a brewery like them. And I wish them well in the future.
Cheers to that.
I can give you another aside. The Yazoo that I'm drinking won the silver medal at the 2010 GABF. So we're talking about 8 years ago. It won a silver medal in the smoke beer category.
Excellent. Got some award-winning beers tonight. I like it.
that's right.
And another taste, Eric, before you go,
Yes.
another taste I'm getting now is cocoa nibs.
Ooh, yeah. Sounds delicious.
No, it's wonderful.
Gabriel, our good buddy from Phoenix, Arizona, who always says, I'm here. He is apparently still at the store trying to find a Southern beer, and he lives in Arizona. All right. Well, I'm sorry, Gabriel. Maybe join us when you get here, even if it's off air. But anyways, to go back to this beer, the Due South Brewing Company's Citrified. There it is. Citra Pale Ale 5.1. It is very, I mean, I want to say it is assertively hoppy, but that's not the case. It's very hop citrus forward notes to it. A lot of resinous, oily qualities to it. Again, a lot of grapefruit and pineapple and orangey notes to it. Definitely there is the caramel, the toffee notes, and the toasty, bready notes that make me interpret this as being a West Coast IPA in style and in theme, which is excellent. As you can see from the lacing, look how great it is doing in this glass. This thing had a nice billowy, almost like a marshmallowy kind of a puffy, cloudy kind of a head to it when it went into that glass, which is where the lacing is left. It's damage due on it. I can definitely tell. I wonder if this is going to focus. That there is, yep, there it is. That there's a lot of sediment in that beer, and this is a great camera. I like that. Definitely the medium body, somewhat light, but definitely medium. Very crisp. Yeah, pretty dry. There's a nice malty sweetness throughout, but pretty dry and refreshing. Yeah, this is a hophead sessionable beer for damn sure. This is a awesome beer. I'm glad I stumbled across it a couple weeks ago, and I'm glad I bought it again. This is dynamite.
Sounds like something I'd want to try. You want me to describe my beer now?
Yep.
Please do.
Okay, well, Laurel, Yanni. Laurel, Yanni. Laurel, Yanni. All right, now, look at this. This head is like, look at the head. Look at the head of foam. This head is like mad love. It's like out of control. It keeps overflowing everywhere. It is like the most exuberant head of foam I've ever seen in my life. It's like that Taylor Swift song. This head is like mad love, and it's crazy. Stop! Don't make that face, because she writes some good songs. You know, you don't have to hate on everything. And by the way, I don't just listen to Taylor Swift. Nor do I own any albums from her. You are kicked out of Rock and Roll Club. Ha ha ha. Who said that? Who made that statement?
This guy.
You are very cruel. Well, all kidding aside, ha ha ha. Yanni, Laurel. It tastes like a stereotypical 1999, 2000 IPA, really. And what I mean by that, well, you know, the appearance is hazy. Okay, so you might say, oh, it's an any IPA. Oh, well, if you taste it, you're going to say, oh, no. It makes you think about Torpedo, those type of things, Stone IPA type of item. You know what I'm talking about. Green Flash West Coast IPA, the original one, not when they reformulated it on their deathbed. But see what happens when you tinker with your success?
That used to be one of my favorite IPAs when I started drinking.
When you screw with your success, William made a big post about that, a la Schlitz Brewing. Oh, he didn't make the post. He made a good comment upon the post. You know, don't practice what you don't practice what you preach against, in other words. So the flavor, very quickly, is sweet white bread. It's dank, or I should say resinous hops that, like people used to always say, pine oil, pine cone hops. You know what I'm talking about. It's just sweet white bread, the piney hops, a lot of carbonation as evidenced by the big burp.
Yes.
If you're looking for an NEIPA juice bomb, you need to shop elsewhere. If you're looking for the old
West Coast style,
oily, resinous pine oil IPA with intense bitterness and high alcohol, this is for you.
that sounds good.
And it's from the Gulf Coast in Arnoldville, Louisiana. So there you go.
Sounds dynamite. We got some good sounding beers here tonight. I like it.
Yeah. Now, as far as awards, I don't know. I didn't look that up.
You get what? You would give it a high award?
Oh yes. And I got a cheap price for it today, so I'm even more excited.
Let's see. Let's go to Michael Kormaroff in Brooklyn, New York, our correspondent live in Brooklyn, New York. As your big beer, your big Hrach beer.
As I continue to drink on it,
Yeah.
I like smoked beer, so I guess
Me too.
it's a positive thing for me. But I will still say I think smoked beers are a niche beer. I don't think everybody would like this. I'm just being as honest as I can. If you do not like the heavily roasty malt kind of feeling in your beer, I would stay away from this and any other smoked beer because it just is, the intensity would bother you. I love it. I mean, I really think it's good, and I love this beer.
Is it changing at any point since you've opened the beer?
I think the smokiness has intensified since I've been, as it warms, it's getting even more smoky, but it still hasn't reached the Rausch beer level. It's still it's still middle smoky. It's not intense smoky, but every sip has smokiness in it.
Would that be a good beer in Nashville to have with some barbecue?
I think it would be excellent. I think it would also be good with a nice piece of chocolate devil's food cake.
Oh whoa! Oh damn!
Whoa!
That beer sounds delicious. Holy crap! All right, this everybody's beer sounds so good. Let's go to William Kepley. How's your beer holding up right now?
Like I said, it's one that, you pop it out of the fridge, pour it. It's crisp, refreshing for summertime beer. And as it warms a little bit, the flavor intensifies a little bit more of the beet flavor, which is already pretty strong to begin with. And like I said, you can sip on it a little while. And it's one thing I know about some of these wheat beers is there's an undercurrent of almost like if you ever eaten Roman meal bread.
Yes.
I pick up a little bit of that, which I think that, like as I mentioned earlier, it's excellent, I think, choice of using the wheat ale as a backbone for this beer because they want it to be the star of the show. That's the headliner. And it definitely is that. Like as I said earlier, a beet's an acquired taste. This is not something I would want to, it's not going to be a go-to standby beer where I've got a 6-pack of these or a 4-pack in the fridge at all times. But like I said, I'm glad I tried it. It's all part of the journey. It's supposed to be fun, and it's fun for me. So
we got Bart Robinson. He is live as usual. Hello, sir. He said he was chatting with our good buddy Tyler Mansell in the chat here, and he said he is very well. Thank you, especially after a Colt 45 high gravity and a late dinner Mexican food. A good pairing, but I will be asleep soon. No doubt. Cheers, Bart Robinson.
So, William, the beets are like the Grateful Dead. They're not the Quicksilver Messenger service.
No. Quicksilver. Or hot tuna.
Right.
We also have, yes, correct. We also have Jordan reviewing Under Influence beer reviews. He says, having some queso con carne dip and waiting for my beer to get cold. Cheers to you up in Alberta.
Cheers, Jordan.
Nice.
All right, so John Anelli, as you've been sipping on that 420 Sweetwater, have your opinions changed? Is the beer changing? What's going on right now with that beer?
Yeah, the beer's developing a little bit as it warms, developing some more bread. Like it's got like a wheat bread thing going on in the middle of the sip. It smells a little bit more piney now. I mean, it's still very light and easy drinking. It says that that you're supposed to actually drink this a little bit warmer. It says, I think between 45 and 45 degrees. So it's developing nicely. It's pretty good. I mean, it's pretty generic though. I mean, it's well balanced. There's nothing that really stands out more than the other. It's just a really well balanced beer. And speaking of awards, this one won a silver medal at the Great American Beer Festival in 2002. So another award-winning beer. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely enjoyable. It's getting a little bit better, I think, as it warms up a little bit. And yeah, I mean, no complaints with this beer at all.
Cool, everybody. It sounds like a great beer. And if you had to give it some kind of a rating, what are you thinking at this moment in time?
I would probably give it 91 out of 100. So on the lower end of excellent. It's pretty. I mean, it's definitely well made. I mean, you know, it's done well at the Great American Beer Festival. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I've had so many other pale ales that are very comparable to this, so it doesn't really stand out to me. So that's why it's a little bit more on the low end, but definitely a great beer.
Excellent. How about Michael Kormaroff? Where would you rate your smoky beer?
I'm going to give it a 95.
Woo!
But I've been rating really high the last few weeks. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a high roll, but excellent. And the question that's often asked, what else could they do? I don't know what else they could do. It's a pretty excellent beer. I just don't like giving 99s and 100s.
You don't want to be Tyler, do you?
No, I don't want to. I actually admonished Tyler and told him that if he keeps giving beers 100, what's he going to have to look forward to? But that's his choice.
Collective Arts Brewing Company? Oh.
No, it may be 100 to Tyler. I mean,
double dry hop pseudo sue. That sounds delicious. Maybe it's not double, but it's dry hopped. He's going to show that on Friday, everybody. Tyler's channel. Well, 2 weeks from Friday. This Friday on Tyler Mansell's channel. I'm plugging you, Tyler. Kolsch beers, which I forgot to buy when I was at the store today. I got to find Reisendorf. I can find it. I know I can.
Oh, right.
And then, yeah, classic Kolsch. And then, New England's wheelhouse. Come on now. Dry hopped beers in 2 Fridays on Tyler Mansell's channel. Stay tuned for that. But we must go to Louisiana Beer Reviews and see the rating of a classic style India Pale Ale.
Well, I think Swamp Thing is really nice. It gets an A, about a 94, which, and I get into endless conflicts with people over this, and I don't think they can get the point I'm trying to make. What I'm trying to say is that, you know, I get into these conflicts with viewers. They'll say, oh, you rate this and that high and blah, 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 you know, it goes on and on. I say, don't you understand that it is not remarkable, in my view, it's not remarkable to run across an A beer. That's the norm, in my opinion. What's remarkable is running across a really bad beer, which you won't find too much. So for something to be an A, oh, well, it's an A. It's most excellent. It's a 94. Okay, big deal. There's so many great breweries making fine beers that's the norm. That's like, oh, well, ho hum, it's an A, it's most excellent. It has almost no imperfections. I get into the big conflicts where we get into the discussion where people will say, oh, red, like for instance, Red Stripe, which John and LA reviewed. Oh, it's a 4 out of 100. And I say, oh, so you're saying it's 90, right? So it's like 96% horrible,
Bad, yeah,
and it's 4% good, and it's like totally beyond the pale of any reasonable assessment of a product. And so that's where you get into the conflict, and they say, oh, you always rate everything high. I said, well, yeah, because we're in a very choice period in the beer world, and it may have always been this case. I don't know. This may have been the case 50 years ago, where most of what you drank tasted really good. So I don't have this kind of goal where I go out and say, all right, now I'm gonna make this percentage an A plus, and then I got this percentage as an A. Like I've got it scaled out how I'm going to score it. I don't do that. I've tried to tell people, if the next 1,000 beers are a B plus, then I mean that's what it's going to be. How about the rate beer ratings of Euro lagers in the single digit range? Says Michael. I think it's ridiculous for somebody to get a Grolsch beer, drink a Grolsch, and say, oh, that's a 9 out of 100. It's total insanity. It's like, I can understand if they said something like, well, it's kind of dull, although I don't think Grolsch is dull. And me and William talked about this for so many times in 2016, 2017, about how a lot of these ratings are people trying to establish street credibility and trying to fit in with this whole beer snob community of you have to hate 99% of what you drink. Everything's trash. Oh, I've had way better. You're like, no matter what you drink, well, I've had better than that. You know, yeah, I was talking to the brewmaster over there at Caniglio Brewing, and in other words, he might have sent him an email once, and the guy responded and said thanks. But all this posing, you know, and so it just that really, you know, you're doing a hangout, but that comes down to that. A lot of it comes down to that. This whole framework or this reference point of looking at these beers, and then you get into, and then that brings us into all this animosity and all this stuff like, well, I'm not going to talk to you anymore because you said this way about a beer. It's like, oh, well, I'm sorry that this is that important to you. I thought it was, you know, and like Michael said, yeah, like, no, oh, no, it's not a hobby. Only a fool would call it a hobby. This is important. This is something that relates to the future of the world, you know. But so now that I've done rant and rave with Ronald, I think we need that. We need a cleanse, but a purge. But I think it's a very good beer. It's an A plus. I'm sorry, an A, a 94. But that, the whole point of what I'm trying to say, that's not remarkable. It's like upper level mediocrity, if that makes any sense. Upper level mediocrity.
I guess when I get up to 94s, 5s plus on this channel, I think most people probably know that. But when I get up to that range, we're tasting some seriously amazing stuff. And I'm not sure that the Due South Brewing Company Citrified Pale Ale is quite at that level of amazement, but I'm pretty pardon my French, I'm pretty goddamn happy with this. For me, being a small, this is what's great about the beer, which is for me what I maybe am not so fond about, which is it's great that they made a 5.1% Citra hopped pale ale. Tastes like a big old 7.2% India Pale Ale with its superior drinkability. But I say that it tastes like a higher ABV pale IPA because it is hopped like that, and not necessarily when I drink a really lower ABV beer, I'm looking for it to have all of that same typical aggression, if you know what I mean, to it. But that's nor a fault of the beer or really a complaint. That's just sort of my take on that. But I think that makes it really good. And a 92 is perfectly acceptable for me. That's the only reasoning I would not give it any higher, is for it not being, it's for it tasting bigger than it is. But again, that's a great aspect about the beer. Very assertive, like I said, very citrus, pineapple, and grapefruit and orangey forward. Lots of oily, resinous qualities, but it is a clean, dry finishing beer with a nice crackery, toasty, white bready, sweet malt underneath everything. So, and the pine resin thing, like I was talking about. So, if all of that fits into your category of traditional West Coast style IPA or pale ale in a small package, and for some reasoning, due south, there it is in your area, and you can find citrified pale ale, go get you some. You will not be disappointed.
Look, I don't mind. I don't mind if you're okay.
The light ale, I did have this earlier. Not as good, but you know what? This is a really great light beer. It actually has a nice malty complexion about it. So I don't know.
Eric, I'm gonna you said 85?
85 for Shiner.
Okay.
Light blonde. Not bad at all. I like that a lot.
I don't mind if you grade stuff hard, like they're commenting under your face. I don't mind if you grade stuff hard. I as long as you have a tight, like, okay, so if you have a tight strike zone for every beer you do, I don't mind, you know, I mean, because I can still look at it within that context of that you're grading everything hard. Yeah, you got me? It's consistent. Yes. It's a consistent approach. My issue and this ongoing 8-year quest, if you want to call it this vision quest, is the people that don't have the consistent approach to the beers. They have these outlandish disparities where they're taking something that's just ordinary, but they're saying it's nuclear radioactive isotopes. You know, it's just like, come on, man. And I don't care. I'm not gonna relent on that.
Yep.
Do they have bad beers in the world? Oh yes. Horrible beers, nightmares, atrocities of mankind.
Can we mention Camo as an example?
That would be
Earthquake High Gravity Lager, maybe?
That would be the great example. What?
Earthquake High Gravity Lager.
The 12%. Because it made me vomit. But, which is rare. But, you know, the vast majority, and I mean the vast majority, we're talking about 95, 99%. It's really high, are pretty good, you know. So you have to search to find the bad ones. Now, the good ones, you just grab a beer. It's good. Now, like Michael Komarov might say, well, it's okay. You know, it's not for him. But he's not going to get on there and give it a 4 out of 100 on rate beer or some insanity like that. You know, he just might say it's not for me. It's just no. Now, what we did tonight, they were all good. Well, yeah, you know, we picked really good beers. So what do you expect?
This was one of the more. This sounded like this was one of the most tasty examinations we've ever done. Sounded really good across the board.
I don't know. Okay. I don't apologize for going on the rant, but I'm saying maybe I should not have done it. But I can't help it. I can't help it. I can't take it. You know, it just builds up into me like pressure, and then it releases. And that's the worst thing about a pressure release. If it's a lot of it, it really spews out, you know.
You know what Tyler Mansell over here during the chat said at one point? He said, I'm trying to find exactly where he said, these are just our opinions. And that is exactly correct. And I don't make any bones about I review a beer and then I rate it the way that I formulated my own opinion. I'm not watching these videos going, everybody's drinking, what is this beer? Heady Topper 100 out of 100. Trillium 99 out of 100. Oh, that means I got to rate it an A+ all day, every day. If I like a beer, you're going to hear about it. If I hate the beer, you're going to hear about it. So
here's a great example.
There you go.
Great example. And I'm going to shut up because I got to get off. I'm tired. I'm losing it. All right. Now, give you an example. Last week on Saturday, I went to my friend David's house, the guy with the big beard.
Yes.
And his preparation is my whole entire day of drinking. All right. So he said, let's try this. Let's try that. Let's try this. So finally I said, I have to leave, you know. He said, well, now that we've prepped, you want to go out drinking? I was like, what are you talking about? So anyway, I mean, it's like incredible. But anyway, so he says, oh, you want to do Old English 800 malt liquor, huh? I said, well, I'd like to. Okay, let's do it. I had a big can, you know. So he's very open-minded. He pours it. He drinks it and he gave it a review. It's recorded. You can look at it on YouTube. But you know what he tells me off camera after? He says, I just want to let you know, I actually gave it a lower score than I wanted to give it. I said, well, why? I said, why'd you do that? He said, well, you know, the perception of it is kind of negative, so I felt intimidated into giving it a lower score. And I said, no, don't ever do that. I said, you have to call it like you see it. I said, forget all that. I said, that feeds into my whole rant that's been going on for 8 years, that you cannot, and I've done it myself. I know I'm guilty of it. I admit, I confess on air. I'm confessing to the world. You start getting intimidated and you give scores that you think people want to hear instead of what you truly believe. So he said after we drank it, he said, that really was a great beer. I loved it. But I felt intimidated into giving it a high score because I thought people would basically look down on me for saying that.
I just asked back once Billy joined us. Hello, sir. I asked him what his favorite Southern beer is. And you know what he said was creme brulee dessert stout by Southern Tier.
Ah, I've had that one.
Oh, wait a minute. That's from New York State.
That's from Lakewood,
yeah.
From Lakewood, New York.
South of the Mason-Dixon line. But I see what you did there, Billy. That's a good beer. I've had it once. Really good.
Jay, is creme brulee a Southern dish? Maybe that's what he means.
That's the name of the beer.
I know, but I'm wondering if that's what he means, that it's the theme. Maybe he took the theme out of it versus the location of the brewery.
I don't know the entomology of food too much, Michael, so I know that you can get it down here, and you can get Oysters Rockefeller, which was invented in New Orleans, and you can get Bananas Foster. I don't know where that was invented. I know the Sazerac mixed drink was invented in New Orleans, but I don't know. I'm fairly ignorant about things like that.
There was a controversy going on in New York over Long Island iced tea, which we'd say comes from Long Island, but there was a Long Island outside Kingsport, Tennessee, Bristol, Tennessee, some town in Tennessee. They claimed it was their Long Island where it came from. The recipes are different, and they're fighting it out now for where it came, where it started. It was either Bristol or Kingsport, Tennessee. They're both cities in Tennessee, I think.
Yeah, they're towns. And if you went there, you'd say this is no city. I've been there.
Bristol's got the racetrack.
Yeah, and it's a huge track.
But they were going to take each other on, even though the recipe was different. And whoever, some group was going to come in to judge both, and whoever won was going to get something from each place. And I don't know if it's ever going to really happen.
I don't know. The interesting thing about Bristol is that it's a town that's in 2 states.
It goes into the Virginia border.
Yeah, it's an oddity. It's a town. It's so big. It crosses 2 states. Like it's like Texarkana. Bristol, there's a Tennessee side and there's a Virginia side. So you can be driving, like, it's very bizarre. You're just driving down the street, say, oh, I'm going to go to Kroger and buy some beer, which is what I did the last time I was there, right? And you're driving down the street, and then suddenly you're in Tennessee, and then they have totally different liquor laws, and you can cross the street, and you're in Virginia. So it's one town. They coordinate their city government as a condominium, meaning that it's a 2-in-1 city government, but it's totally bizarre. But I would recommend going there.
In Bristol, on the Tennessee side, you can get old style beer, which recently won a gold medal at the World Beer Cup. I bought old style after crossing over from Virginia into Tennessee, right through the middle of town.
It's a weird place for that beer.
Old style, yeah, and I bought old style in Nuevo Progreso, Mexico. Nuevo Progreso, Mexico, but I can't get it in Louisiana, and I got searched with a German Shepherd dog when I crossed back.
Damn.
Now, you mentioned Old Style. Another beer from that brewer is Special Export. Do you see that anymore?
Oh, what a wonderful product.
I mean, that's something that was brewed before, but I don't know if it's still being made.
Lacing for days. Look at that.
I know, mine too. Oh, special export. That's an interesting product. It's a Dortmunder style lager. It was introduced in 1934 at a company picnic. The people at Heilemann were so excited about it. They said, this is like the great beer, you know? And the man said, well, it was just for the picnic. And they said, oh, no, you should make it. So they said,
there you go.
All right, so we'll make it as a special offering. And apparently it's still brewed in La Crosse, Wisconsin. And you can find Old Style and Old Style Light at very obscure liquor stores in the Chicago area, but you'll have a hell of a time finding it, excuse my language.
They used to come in a cool green can too.
Wow.
Oh, I have it right here.
Uh-oh.
Jay actually has one.
I'm sorry, Eric.
He already drank it.
I'm sorry, Eric. I get excited about beer, you know.
He already drank it, but let's see it. I liked all this info. Oh,
now, is that a cool can, John? Isn't that a cool can?
Yeah, it has a clipper ship on it. Special export, but it's not exported. You know, it's only sold in the United States.
It reminds me of Shipyard Brewing Company.
Yeah, but it's a Dortmunder style. I mean, I bought it and I said, oh man, if everybody could try this beer, but then, you know, it's brewed by the most perplexing brewing company in America, Pabst Brewing Company. Their best stuff. The best stuff they make, no one can get, you know, and Michael, William knows about that, and John and Nearly too. The best stuff they make, you can't get it.
Huh. Interesting. So if anybody's curious about the Massachusetts Beer Reviews channel of YouTube, where have you been? So for the next few weeks here, I actually thought about the whole month of June. Now, if I go to the right store for one of these weeks in June, I'll be able to get these beers. I should be able to get the beers. I just got to go to the right store. So next week, see if you want to write this down, Michael Kormaroff. If next week we're going to do Kona Brewing Company beers.
Oh, well, I can probably get that.
Absolutely. And then Gabriel Salaya and I were talking about various different beers a couple of weeks ago. And I know Michael Cormack's going to love this one, but the first week of June is an examination of only beers that come in green bottles.
Is it just green or is it green and clear?
Just green.
May as well separate it, right?
Just green. And I already picked out the beer, and I've never had it, and it's called Mythos. I'm interested.
Oh, yeah, from Greece.
I'm interested. And so the second week of June, I got to find these beers. Surprisingly, I can't. It's a little difficult, but I've seen them. I know. Second week of June, I came up with Red Hook beers.
Oh, well, that's a good idea, but why not do beers that are only sold in clear bottles?
And then I had an idea to do the beers of Asia.
Is that going to be on the 20th? Is that on the 20th? The beers of Asia?
Is that the rock and roll band?
Yes, the band that featured Steve Howe from the band. Yes. All right. And then I thought for the ending week of June, we could do the 2018 edition of summer seasonal beers.
Ah. But you know what?
We seem to do that every year. Why not?
But you know what? You've got brass in pocket, but you're not using it, because you could examine Budweiser, a Freedom Reserve, but no.
First week of July.
I mean, you got the yellow brick road right underneath your feet, but you're not walking on it. I don't get it. You know, Freedom Reserve. You know, Freedom Reserve. That's your meal ticket. Maybe so. If you want a lot of views, people. If you want a lot of views.
Now, backup beer here. My Going Yard. If you at the ballpark, you drink it in the can. You can go with the seams or across the seams, and it will definitely give you a different flavor profile. You get the rising fastball or the one that goes into the dirt.
Lord.
Keep that in mind, all you local people. You drink beer at the ballpark. You're able to get a hold of this if you live in the Greensboro area.
What's the other beer? Yeah, what's the other one you have?
Yeah, my relief pitcher here, we got the Good People Pale Ale, which is out of Birmingham, Alabama, and I've already poured that and started drinking it. This one I like better than Sweetwater 420. This one for me is a 95 out of 100.
Woo, yeah.
Wow.
It's a little bit more bready. It has a little bit less piney resinous notes, which I like because it's a little bit, you know, I like the piney resinous, but I'd rather those be in the background, and they're a little bit more muted in this one. This one's a little bit more bready and weedy and a little bit more refreshing. So, yeah, this one's better for my personal taste. So 95 for the Good People Pale Ale.
Excellent. Now, Eric, I don't want you to take this personally, and I would like to
Not at all. Yeah.
I would like to try that Good People too, by the way, not to mention the one from the ballpark. I'm kind of like David Bowie. My career is basically built on theft.
Borrowing of ideas, right?
Yeah, most of what I do is just stolen from other people. David Bowie admitted that. But and I admit that too freely on air. So I'm going to do a hangout coming up, and it's going to be clear bottled beers. Beers that are sold clear bottles.
I would join you on that examination. And don't think I didn't think of that, but I thought that wouldn't be interesting 2 weeks in a row just on the glass coloring of a bottle. Maybe I'm crazy though.
I have no sort of personal self-respect and shame when it comes to beer examination. So
good old Corona Light. Here we go.
Yeah, I mean, much of my life is based upon stealing other people's ideas, but I admit it, at least.
Cool. So let us know when you want to do that. I will certainly join on that one day if you want to do that.
Eric, what was the date for Tyler's dry hop beer? Because that's not next week, it's 2 weeks?
No, it's the week after, 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yep. So I still have 20 Congress Street double dry hopped, and I still have double dry hopped Fort Point from Trillium Brewing Company.
Oh, I might bring Envie.
Sweet. There are even some dry hop sours that are coming out now. They're out of this world delicious. I've never been more into sours than in 2017 and now. Sours I mean, they're not like a beer you want to keep around all the time, but sours can be really nice when you have a strange craving for one. It's hard to describe why anybody likes a sour beer, but sometimes you like to have one every now and then. It's a craving in beer for
sours every day.
Sour Monkey.
It's like the Carpenters. I have their album, but other people ask me why.
Yeah, the best beer I had when I went to Russian River Brewing Company was not Pliny the Elder. It was their sour beer in Cabernet Sauvignon barrels called Consecration.
I've had that beer.
My parents tried it with me, and we had a whole bunch of beers that I ordered in some samplers. And I tried one of those. My mother tried it. My father tried it. Had a old man whiskey face. I drank it and went, "This is stupid delicious." And they just looked at me like, "What are you talking about?" To each their own. This is all of our opinions, and we have voiced them loud and clear about beers south of the Mason-Dixon line. So going from my left to right, John Anele, what are your final thoughts, if any, on the topic discussion this evening, since you do live in the south of the Mason-Dixon line?
Right. I love beers brewed in the South. I love Good People. I love, Sweetwater makes a lot of really good beers. I've actually been to a brewery in Birmingham, Trim Tab Brewery. It's a smaller brewery. They make really good beers. Every beer that I've had from the South, I mean, for the most part, is at least a great beer. So I have nothing but admiration for beers from the South. And like Ron was talking about earlier, I mean, most beers are well made now, so it's no surprise that all of these beers are very good. It's when you find a bad one, that's when you're surprised. So yeah, great beers.
Yes, agreed. Michael Komaroff is south of Boston, Massachusetts.
Yes, I am.
What are your thoughts of this topic this evening?
Okay.
Ending thoughts.
I thought the topic was wonderful. I'm going to make one more point on my Yahoo Sue.
Yeah.
The 93 IBUs only translate to the finish. There's a
Oh.
lingering bitterness in the finish. I didn't taste that through the beer, but in the finish, you get kind of a mild bitterness. It's not a strong bitterness, but in darker beers, the IBUs are handled much different than they are in IPAs. So you can have a 93 and it's not earth-shattering. It's kind of more subtle, but it is bitter in the finish.
Cool.
I'd like to try it.
Thoughts? Yeah.
Jay,
go
I was
ahead.
gonna say to Jay, they do have distribution because I saw something on the internet today. It was available in Mississippi. Now that's not exactly where you are, but isn't Mississippi a bordering state to Louisiana?
Yes.
So it's available in Mississippi. That's not that far away. I'm not telling you to take a road trip to get it.
I was just trying to come up with an excuse to drive to New York City.
Well, I didn't get it here. My wife brought it back from Nashville. So I guess you know you can get it in Nashville. You wouldn't be able to get it here, although I'd love them to distribute it.
That's right. She bought it. That's right.
She bought it in Nashville.
That's
Nashville, you can definitely get it.
I've been having a bad craving. I've been having a bad craving for driving to New York City. So I'm trying
Welcome anytime.
Trying to
All
get
right. What's you got a lot of I know you live in the South and you have access to all these great Southern beers, but living in the South, what's your thoughts and final conclusions on beers of the South this evening?
Okay, well, I live in the South, okay, and I'm always promoting all of that business. But I like to drink a lot of beers within moderation, you know. And I'm sorry, not sorry for my rant. I shouldn't have done it. Should have done it. And so I take back, don't take back most of what I said. None of what I said. All right, so that's out of the way. Yeah, I mean, come down here in New Orleans. Oh, Abita. Tanya Makowski and I went to the Abita Brewery a week and a half ago, and we had a great time. New Orleans is interesting because we're a port city, so we get so much stuff that comes through this city area. So we get a bigger selection than most people get. So I have to tell people, you know, don't send me beer, because we don't ever run out of selection. So we are kind of overwhelmed by the selection, right? So we're not the typical South. New Orleans, our area is more like Latin America than the typical South. So we're more like Santo Domingo or Havana or Matamoros than we are Knoxville or Jacksonville or Richmond, Memphis. You know, we're a little eccentric type area. But anyway, that's that. Done.
Excellent. William Kepley, closing thoughts. Beers of the South.
I got passed over on the aroma and review segment, so I'm gonna have to play this pro.
That was
Oh, boo! I'm
I played
sorry.
this under protest. The baseball. I got passed over the batting order for the aroma / pour and the reviews.
Oh, your second beer.
I was out of order. I got passed over the batting order, so I'm playing this thing out under protest. A beer.
Call from Comoros, Rhoda.
William, Eric's management skills are wanting.
There we go.
But I will
All
say,
right.
as far as this beer, the new Sorum, the urban spice is a category I'm not very familiar with. I wouldn't begin to rate it by style or guideline. I will say that for the execution of this beer, I think it's spot on. They achieved what they set out to do, so I would say a 4.5 out of 5 for the execution of it.
Cool.
And the enjoyment for myself would be middle of the road, probably a 2.5 to 3, just because this is not my particular favorite as far as beer styles, but it is well made. And
On a day-to-day basis, would you rather drink that or natural ice?
Natural ice is one that I have sort of faded on lately, but I got a 15-pack of natural ice and use it as my control beer. And I began to test it against other beers of the style.
Mm-hmm.
And the vast majority of those, I preferred the other beer.
Whoa. We got to talk
Especially
about that.
certain ones like Molson Ice, Old Milwaukee Ice, Mickey's Ice, some of those. Natty Ice is a default beer for many people. Nothing.
God, I
wrong
wish I could
with
get some of those
refreshing,
ice beers, William.
but under the harsh light of one-on-one, back-to-back face-offs, to me, it's just an average beer.
Yeah.
I have to say for me, but
That kind of troubles me a little bit.
really, I'm just saying that's the way it shook out for me. And that's what I'm enjoying doing right is to get a control beer by a multi-pack, then drink 3 or 4 of those to establish a good baseline, then go out and buy singles of other beers and compare it against them.
Okay,
And,
well, but okay, that all that being taken into account, would you rather, on a day-to-day basis, would you rather drink the one you presented or the Natty Ice?
I'd have to go for that on a daily basis, probably the Natty Ice.
Okay, all right.
Boom.
I hope it didn't ever come down to that.
It shouldn't ever come down to that.
Because,
come on,
beats every day, beat every day might be a little more than I can fathom.
Right.
Yeah. My closing thoughts are that there's just so much good is not favorable, nor is it unfavorable towards southern states and their brewing of beers, but there are so many places that brew beer now around the world. The United States has huge numbers of breweries, huge numbers. All you got to do is just go out and try beers. And even if you know nothing about the brewing company like me, Due South Brewing Company, never heard of them. It said Citra, it said Pale Ale. I know I like that stuff right off the bat. So marketing-wise, they did pretty good. So even if it looks kind of interesting, you don't know anything about it, give it a shot. It could be a beer that you might end up liking. So
yeah, but one question I have for you though is this: you did the South, beers of the South. Well, that's good. I like that topic. Well, why don't you do a hangout called Beers of the North or Beers of the West, and then Beers of the island territories, Alaska, Hawaii. Hawaii, the Virgin Islands. Puerto Rico, you know what I'm saying? Like you could.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be limited. The Marshall Islands, Mariana Islands, Guam. I don't know. I'm just thinking if you're going to do
the beers of Guam.
No, I said the island territories. Why couldn't you do beers of the North or beers of the West? I'm sure they have great beers out in California, Arizona.
We could do a whole topic on that. Yeah.
Wisconsin, Ohio. Why limit? I don't know. I'm just free thinking,
Cool. Yeah, definitely good to brainstorm. So we have lots of things to do over the summertime. That might be a great one to do. Maybe that would be really great to do in July, going back to the United States during our independence. That would be a cool time to do that. Yeah, I like that. July there's a thought.
July 4th is actually a Wednesday.
Wow.
You got beers of Canada. You could do beers of Latin America, beers of England, beers of France, beers of Germany. You know what I mean? You like you're like sitting on a world of opportunity.
That would be cool. I like that. So, well, find July maybe on. We'll do some geographical locations. I like that idea. Cool. So, yeah, we're gonna go off air here and take the conversation off air, but I appreciate John Anelli, Michael Kormaroff, Jay Theriot, William Kepley. As far as I know, our good buddy Gabriel Salai is still stuck at a store and doesn't know where the South is in his beer fridge. That's kind of awful, but he will join us next week, I would gather. So,
Eric, could I play it down with a little bit of music?
Go ahead, play it.
Do it.
South's going to do it again.
This is exit music, Eric.
Early in his career, Charlie Anderson was playing with Bob Dylan.
Laurel.
These studio recordings. So we'll hit it now.
Laurel, Yanni, Laurel, Yanni, Laurel, Yanni.
Thanks for stopping by. Masters of Beer Reviews, channel of YouTube. Until next time, keep tasting those great beers. Cheers. John, Michael, Ronald, William, Eric, hopefully Gabriel, Tyler on Fridays. We'll see you soon. Backwoods Billy, get into this thing. And Bart Robinson, figure out your internet and technology. Come on, join us.
The South, the South. What shall become of her?
Cheers, everybody.